Time now for the France 24 interview.
Hello and welcome to the interview here on France 24. My guest today is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Adel Al-Jubeir. Thank you for being on the show.
Pleasure.
Saudi Arabia just announced that it was pledging $100 million to support the so-called G5 Sahel forces to fight a jihadist group in that African region. This was much needed because this force was lacking financial support. Why did you make that decision?
Because of our commitment to fighting terrorism and extremism, we made a commitment to provide 100 million euros to these forces. We made this a commitment also to provide logistics and training and intelligence and air support through the Islamic Military Coalition to this effort. And we made a commitment to provide humanitarian assistance to those affected by this fighting through the King Salman Center for Relief. We will be hosting a meeting of this new group to coordinate the military support to those countries, and we're working very closely with France and other countries in this area.
So basically, France, its president, asked Saudi Arabia to help financially, and then you decided to go ahead.
Not really, no. He came to Saudi Arabia, we had a discussion, we talked about the importance of the Sahel countries and what needs to be done there. President Macron indicated that he will be hosting a meeting in France, and he invited Saudi Arabia to come. We informed him, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince informed him that the Kingdom had made a decision that it wants to support this effort, and that we will be pledging 100 million euros to this effort, in addition to other things that we will mention during the meeting, which I did earlier today.
I want to get to the issue of Jerusalem. Obviously, Donald Trump just made a decision, breaking with U.S. tradition, with international law, some may say. Some are saying that Saudi Arabia, although it protested this decision, is actually not that opposed because it believes the Trump administration has a real peace plan between Israel and the Palestinians. Can you clarify your position?
Yeah, our position on Jerusalem has always been very clear. We believe in a two-state solution based on the relevant UN resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative. We believe that in the end we will have a Palestinian state on the 67 borders with minor mutually agreed to adjustments as determined by the two parties, with East Jerusalem as its capital. This has been our position. This remains our position. Any talk to the contrary is nonsense. We believe that the Trump administration is serious about bringing peace between Israelis and Arabs.
But doesn't this demonstrate the opposite?
We have made our position on this very clear. We have issued a statement before the decision was made. When there were press reports about this, we said that this will be a wrong step to take, that this will be in violation of international law and UN resolutions, and that this will make it more complicated to proceed with the peace process, and we believe that it would undermine the American role as an honest broker. And when the decision was announced, we took a very strong position. We said this is unacceptable. This decision has to be reversed. This decision is an affront to every Muslim, and that it contradicts the principle of taking unilateral steps that prejudge the outcome of final negotiations. And our position was reaffirmed at the Arab foreign ministers meeting in Cairo, as well as today at the Organization of Islamic Conference Summit in Turkey.
Do you believe that the Trump administration has indeed a plan to clinch the ultimate deal, as President Trump called it?
I know that they were working on ideas, and I know that they were consulting with all parties, including Saudi Arabia, about those ideas, and I know that they were incorporating the views that were presented to them by everybody. And they have said that they will need a little bit of time to put it all together in order to present it as a plan for moving forward. And we are all waiting for that moment so that we can move and finally put to end this conflict. Now, whether what the administration will propose or not is acceptable to the parties remains to be seen, because, like I said, I don't believe that the plan that the U.S. administration is working on has been finalized yet.
But what you seem to be implying is that they're still working on a two-state solution.
That's what they're indicating to us, and that's what they have told us.
Was there some pressure by the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, on Mahmoud Abbas to essentially wait for the administration to present that plan, despite the decision on Jerusalem?
No, not at all. Our position has been to support the Palestinian position. Our position is always to coordinate with them.
There have been reports to the contrary.
Correct, and those reports are nonsense. I was at the meeting when President Abbas came to Saudi Arabia and met with the custodian of the two Holy Mosque, King Salman, as well as met with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. The Saudi position has been to support the Palestinian Authority. The Saudi position has been to coordinate with the Palestinian Authority.
Not to tell them accept this or resign.
Our policy since the time of King Abdulaziz has been to support the Palestinians, not to dictate to them.
I want to get to the issue of Yemen. We've seen growing criticism from the U.S. administration against Saudi Arabia for its bombings, for its crimes, humanitarian blockade, etc. What's your reaction to even President Trump himself said, you know, this can't go on?
First of all, there were no war crimes, so we put that aside.
Some human rights groups are saying there are war crimes.
They can say whatever they want. There have been no war crimes committed in Yemen. Saudi Arabia follows international humanitarian law. We operate at the same standard as NATO, so we don't accept this issue.
What about the blockade?
The blockade there is no blockade. The ports are open.
The U.S. are saying it.
The ports are open. The Hodeidah port has limited openings with regards to commercial traffic, but humanitarian assistance is going in. The airport at Sana'a is open to humanitarian traffic, and we're looking at ways of increasing or enhancing the inspections mechanism to prevent the flow of weapons into Yemen. And
what is the U.S. saying then? It's speaking about a blockade. It says it needs to stop.
Yeah, the U.S. has said that they would like to have the ports open to commercial traffic, and we're working on this. But also you forget that the U.S. 2 days later came out and was very critical of the Houthis and what they're doing in Sana'a, the murder of opposition figures, the murder of Saleh, and holding the Houthis responsible for this. The reason that you have starvation in Yemen is because the Houthi militias are surrounding towns and villages and preventing humanitarian access to them, not us. We are the largest single provider of humanitarian assistance to Yemen and continue to be.
But will you push for a political solution? Rex Tillerson has said you need to really think about this much more seriously than you have been. Airstrikes are not the solution.
Okay. We have been supporting the UN envoy since day one. We have said from day one, in fact, I announced the launch of operations in Yemen when I was ambassador in Washington. And I said that the solution to Yemen is a political solution, and that it has to be a Yemeni solution based on UN Resolution 2216. And we support this, and we have been since that time. We have supported every initiative that the UN envoy has put in place.
But it's not working.
Because the Houthis have rejected every single one of them. We have had more than 70 understandings that were arrived at between the parties, and the Houthis have not implemented one.
And so are you hopeful that there will be? Because if this doesn't stop, I mean, obviously the Yemenis are suffering in a terrible way, and there's no political solution in sight. It seems there's a deadlock right now.
The Yemenis are suffering because of the crimes that the Houthis are committing. They are deploying child soldiers, and they should be held to account for this. They are mining areas, and they should be held accountable for this. They have launched more than 200 ballistic missiles inside Yemen against civilians. They should be held accountable to this. They launched 80 ballistic missiles against Saudi Arabia, and people should be critical of this. They have surrounded towns and villages and prevented aid from coming in. They steal humanitarian assistance that comes into the port of Hodeidah and sell it to enrich themselves, not to feed the Yemeni
But some are saying the airstrikes by Saudi Arabia are killing civilians, and you know, it doesn't go anywhere if they're mutual accusation. There's no political solution.
There is a political solution, but the Houthis have to take it.
Iran, is there any chance of a warming of relations? It doesn't look that way, obviously.
The reason Iran is designated as the world's top terror sponsor is because it is. The reason Iran is subject to sanctions
and that's not changing.
Is because it's up to the Iranians.
Lebanon. There was the episode of Saad Hariri, who resigned from Riyadh under pressure, it was told, from Saudi Arabia. He then went to France, back to Lebanon, and now he's again prime minister. So the assumption is that this was essentially a Saudi policy failure, that he is now in government with Hezbollah despite his denouncing the role of Hezbollah under alleged Saudi pressure.
I don't believe so. I think he...
it's hard not to believe so.
Well, look at the facts. We supported Saad Hariri when he was Prime Minister the first time. We supported him when he formed a government with Aoun as President. We supported his program, political program. The President Aoun and Hezbollah did not allow him the political space to implement his program. At every turn they put obstacles in his way, and they used him as a facade in order to cause mischief by changing election laws in Lebanon, by doing things that were not good for Lebanon. So he decided to resign. He did this as to be a positive shock.
Not under your pressure.
And when he resigned, he's the Prime Minister of Lebanon. He was elected by the Lebanese people.
But now he's accepted to go back with Hezbollah. I mean, how can you accept that?
Because I will tell you what happened. He went back, the Lebanese, in order to formally resign. The President and the Speaker of the House told him that they will accommodate his concerns and that they will work with him, and that Lebanon will be neutral when it comes to events in the Arab world, and that they will give him the political space to operate.
Is this happening?
On that basis, they only made this deal 10 days ago or so we'll have to wait and see. On that basis, he rescinded his resignation. And so we support that. And we will see if Hezbollah and President Aoun give Saad Hariri the political space to implement the agenda that he wants for Lebanon.
So you're not saying it's a Saudi defeat in Lebanon?
No. Our interest in Lebanon is a stable Lebanon, a prosperous Lebanon. If Lebanon didn't exist, we believe we have to invent it, because you have 16 or 17 different religious groups and ethnic groups and sects living together in harmony. This is a model for the Arab world. If we cannot have harmony among the different religions and different ethnicities and different sects in the Middle East, we will lose all our minorities, and we will have lost something that enriches our culture.
Last question. There are obviously lots of reports about Saudi-Israeli ties. There were reports today that the Israeli intelligence minister invited the Crown Prince to Israel. Clearly, there's a common enemy, Iran. They probably have the same analysis on Lebanon. You're getting closer.
We have no relations with Israel.
Official.
We have a roadmap for relations with Israel called the Arab Peace Initiative, that if we have a peace process and we have a peace settlement, Israel will have normal relations with all Arab countries and all Islamic countries. Then normal relations means diplomatic relations, commercial relations, trade relations.
That's the future I'm talking about now. They're clearly covered.
But now we don't have relations with Israel.
Intelligence about Iran?
We have no relations with Israel.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Al-Jubeir, for answering our questions. And thank you for watching this interview on France 24.